Axie Nation. In part 1 of this series of videos, I explained why land is so valuable by looking at the different types of gameplay and how you can earn from having land. So if you haven't yet, go check out that video. But in this video, I'm looking at the different types of land that exist, what to look out for when you want to buy land, and when is the right time to finally buy your piece of terra. I'm Axie Explained. Let's jump right in. There are 4 main types of land in Lunacia, and 17,207 of these land plots were sold in the first ever land sale. This all covers the northern western quadrant of Lunacia. Lands available from lowest price to highest is Savannah, Forest, Arctic and Mystic. Now, in addition to these 17,207 pieces of land, there were a few special types of lands also released. Genesis land. Now, this land is very rare. There will only be 220 plots of this land available in total. 75 of them were released in this first land sale, and every land sale thereafter will release less and less. This piece of land is very special. It seems like only certain types of world events and raid bosses will be available to fight on these pieces of land, which will probably drop insane items and gear. Now, these Genesis lands are at the border of what is called Luna's Landing. This is the very center of the map, and I don't know how many of these are available, but they're saying that very special events will be held on Luna's Landing lands, and in the first land sale up to the 22nd of May 2019, everyone that owned one piece of every type of land got one piece of Luna's Landing as an incentive. Now, you might have been wondering, what are those pink pieces of land you see everywhere around the map? Well, those are resource nodes and chimera spawning points. These nodes will also be important in hosting dungeons and world events. Thus, it is a very good tip to buy land as close to these resource spawning points as possible. And why is that? Well, if you watched my first video, you would know that when battling, you instantly travel to the battle point. But when the battle is done and you want to take the resources home, your Axies have to travel. They don't teleport anymore. And by traveling, they can lose some of the Luna they've gathered into other people's lands where they pick it up. But the more important thing is that it might take a few days, depending on how far your piece of land is, for Axies to travel back. So the closer you are to a resource node, the closer that turnaround time is, and the quicker you can get back to gathering resources and fighting chimeras. The second thing to consider when buying land, especially if you want to buy multiple pieces of land, is to consider buying connected pieces of land, so those that are directly next to each other. And there are a few reasons why you would want to do this. So in Axie Infinity, you will be able to build certain structures. Now, there are going to be very special structures that are quite large, even so large that you need more than one piece of land to be able to build that. My prediction is this might be big things like guild halls or having a whole tavern or inn that will be able to have many Axies sleep there. So if you're planning on having a guild like we are at Lunar Nights, I want to be able to build a guild hall where hopefully I can have 20 different Axie teams living there in the guild hall and all be able to enjoy using the land that we own. Other reasons for owning connected pieces of land is that Axies travel faster on their own land. So if you have connected pieces that are all leading up to a resource node, your Axies will travel much faster. The second thing is when managing the land, you can view all of the connected land through one viewer instead of having to jump between different screens to manage all your pieces of land. Now let's take a look at the other objects that we can find on the map, like roads and water. What do they mean? Well, not much has been given, but some clues have been found by very smart people, and this is what we figured out so far. Roads will give a 300% increase in Axie speed when traveling. Rivers cannot be passed on foot. Roads over rivers are shown as bridges. Hot springs is a bit unknown, but possibly heals. A farmyard will grow herbs. A battle tent, unknown. A food shop will sell food, possibly player owned and giving buffs to Axies. Potion shop sells potions, possibly player owned, and probably important for dungeons and raids. Residence possibly houses NPCs as well. Trees can be cut down to provide wood, which can be a possible public resource node. A windmill, unknown. Pond, unknown, but possibly fishing available here. Igloo, unknown. Stone statue, unknown. A quarry can be used to harvest stone. And a dungeon, an access point to chimera battles. Now let's get into the resources that you can gather from the land of Lunacia. First, there will be SLP, which you can earn from battling chimeras in the alpha app. Wood is earned from chopping wood at a resource node, likely used to build structures on top of the land. Stone, earned by mining at a quarry, likely used to build structures on top of land. Gold was leaked on a stream, and it's implied it'll be used for structures, but we're not 100% sure. Herb is earned by visiting a farmyard. Unknown use, possibly healing. Then there will also be crystal ore and goo. Uses unknown, probably also to build certain structures or for potion making. It is not 100% clear yet. Now let's talk about when is the right time to buy land, because there will be another land sale in the future. So is it worth to buy land now at the current very high prices, or should you wait until the new land sale? Well, what Axie Infinity has said is that when they release the next land sale, which by the way seems like it will only happen once land gameplay has been released, which is anticipated to be in Q2 of 2022, so about 9 months from now. But what they said about the pricing of this land sale is that they're going to try and keep it fair to the current landowners. So I don't see them really selling it cheaper or much cheaper than the prices of land at that time. Now, my prediction is that the closer we get to land gameplay being released, the more the prices for land is going to soar. So it might take a dip now in the next 6 months, and then 3 months before land gameplay is officially released, it might start going up again. It's very difficult to predict what land prices will be in 9 months from now, and if it's better to buy a piece of land for roughly 5 Ethereum now, or wait and hopefully see the prices go down to about 3 Ethereum, 2 Ethereum, and try buying them. But there is something I can tell you. It seems that the land available now will be more valuable than the lands sold in the next phases of selling. And the reason is because this land now is identified as Quadrant 1 land. And they are special for the following reasons. 1. Certain events and content will be limited to Quadrant 1 land. We don't know specifically what, but there will be a limitation. And number 2, it seems like most of the third-party developed land gameplay, that there's little mini games that developers can create on land, will be limited to Quadrant 1. So basically, if you want to have access to the most of what there is in land gameplay, it is smart to own a piece of land in Quadrant 1, it seems. My recommendation to when to buy land, therefore, is basically when you have the money to. If you can afford 6 Ethereum right now to buy a piece of forest land, I would say go for it. It basically really is impossible to predict what the prices will do in the future. I'm not a financial advisor, but I reckon land prices will continue to gradually go up and up until the release of land gameplay, in which case either land gameplay is going to be a total bust and the value of land is going to go down a lot, in which case you don't want to buy it anyway, right? Or it's going to become even more expensive. In any way, I think it's a good investment now. Even if you don't want to necessarily play in it, you can hold it, and closer to the time that land gameplay is released, in which case prices will most probably be higher, you can try selling the land for a profit. Now, as to the question of which land you should buy, well, I think yet again this depends on your budget. So obviously Savannah is your cheapest, and then you have Forest, Arctic, Mystic, and then Genesis. I think Genesis is way too expensive. I don't think it will ever be worth the price it is right now, but that's very difficult to say yet again. I've heard somewhere, but this I could not confirm on any articles, is that certain special events will be limited to Arctic and Mystic lands. So Savannah and Forest won't have access to those. Yet again, this is unconfirmed. I read it in Discord. And I would also probably suggest buying multiple pieces of land over buying a single expensive piece of land. So I'd rather buy 2 savannas than 1 expensive forest. But this depends on your needs. If you run a scholarship program, I think the more lands the better, because you can give your scholars access to the land and help you to harvest nodes and help battling chimeras, so you can draw more out of them. If you're buying a land simply for your personal use, I would say go for a more expensive piece of land if you can afford it, rather than connected pieces of land. Yet again, this is very speculative, so you are more than welcome to do your own reading. I will link every piece of article I've read in the description below, and you can even just join the Discord chat on land. A lot of valuable information is there to help you make this decision. It's obviously a big decision and a very pricey decision. So take your time, and I'm still saving up. I hope to be a landowner soon, and if you are already, I hope you enjoyed my video. If you're not, I hope I convinced you to buy a piece of land. I hope in the future there will be enough land for all of us. Axie Explained out.